Hi guys, this is my long-awaited how I got into all the UCs that I applied to and a lot of other schools video. This video was very highly requested and I'm going to be talking about my stats and extracurriculars, so if you're interested, keep on watching. So for some background, I am Asian American, specifically Korean. I am the first child. I'm second generation. My mom graduated from the University of Washington for her undergrad, and then she got her teaching degree at Boston College. And I applied to 28 schools. I had no specific passion project, and for a lot of them I went test optional. And I live in California, specifically Los Angeles. And then for this video, I'm going to separate it into categories just to make it a little easier for you guys. So the first category is going to be academics, and just a little background for my academics. I went to a middle and high school. It was a public school, and my school offered a lot of AP classes, which is why in my courses you'll see a lot of AP classes. But in general, I think a lot of colleges compare your course load with the classes that are offered to you by your high school. So if you don't take a lot of APs because your school doesn't offer that many APs, then that's totally okay as well. It's just depending on how much you push yourself and what's offered to you. So overall, my weighted GPA was a 4.5 and my unweighted was a 3.9. So these are the classes that I took my freshman year. I'm going to put it right here, the classes and the grades, but I'll just list the classes. I took English, Spanish, health, PE, interactions, and leadership for my freshman year. And then my sophomore year, right here too, I took English, Spanish, pre-calc, PE, AP chemistry, AP world, and leadership. And then for my junior year, right here, I took AP English language, AP seminar, Spanish, AP calculus, AP biology, AP US history, and leadership. And then for my senior year, which is right here again, I took AP English Literature, AP Calculus BC, AP Psychology, AP Government and Politics, AP Research, and then I did like a duo enrollment class that my high school offered with West LA, and then I took Leadership. I also took some summer courses in between my junior and senior year, so I took them at a community college, and I took Environmental Studies and Intro to Sociology. And then for my test scores that I submitted, AP World, which I got a 4, AP US History, which I got a 5, AP Seminar, 5, AP English Language and Composition, 4, AP Bio, which I got a 4, and I got 3s for both AP Chemistry and AP Calculus AB, but I did not submit them. And then SAT scores. So a lot of people asked about my SAT scores. My score wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst, which is why I submitted it to some of the schools. But honestly, my year was really lucky because a lot of the schools were still doing test optional, so I did that for most of the school, like the private schools that I applied to. The UCs don't really look at them, but I think I submitted it to Emory, USC, Boston College, and then I don't remember the other schools if I submitted my SAT scores. But my SAT super score was a 1430. I had a 720 in math and a 710 in English. And then on to the second part of this video, which is the extracurriculars, which honestly is my favorite, and I think that's the main reason why I got into all the schools that I did, was basically because I involved myself in things that I was really passionate about, and I still am very passionate about. And I think if you are truly passionate about the things that you do, then it reflects with the leadership positions that you get and how you write about your extracurriculars and how involved you are in them. So leadership positions at my school's leadership class, I was the chair of the dance committee, which means that I planned all my school dances, such as homecoming and the middle school dances. For varsity volleyball, I was on the varsity team for all 4 years and was captain for 3 years, so since my sophomore year. And I was also in charge of running the social media account. And then I was also a boys volleyball manager, which meant that I helped out during games and practices, and I also ran the social media account. And then this is like it's not exactly a passion project, but it was something that I was very passionate about, and I wrote about a lot in my essays. I started the Asian Student Union at my school and organized the first ever Asian Heritage Show. So at my school, I wouldn't say we have like a super large Asian population, but we do have a couple Asian students in like every grade. So because we didn't really have like a formal student union, unlike our like Black student union or our Latino scholars club, I decided my junior year, well, it was like a sophomore year idea, and then it was like throughout the year I was planning it, and then my junior year I started the Asian Student Union, and we had our first show in our auditorium for a whole day, showcasing different Asian cultures and students with talent, representing their cultures. So we had people singing, we had people playing instruments, we had people dancing, doing martial arts. So it was such a cool experience to have, and I think that's something, I guess, niche about my profile, but it's something I was very passionate about and something that I am very happy that I started. And then for my class council, I was historian for my junior year, which also meant that I was running the social media account. So in my extracurriculars, there's a lot of volleyball and a lot of social media, because that was something that I wanted to get into, like marketing, and which is the major that I chose to apply as for a lot of the schools. I forgot to mention that I've been playing volleyball for 9 years now, which is why I'm so passionate about volleyball and is why I committed a lot of time to it, and I also wrote about it in my essays. So being so involved with volleyball, playing club for so long, and even coaching, which is I'll talk about later on, like I think it reflected how important the sport was to me. It wasn't just something like I could gain leadership in, it was my life and still is my life, and is something that is very dear to me. I even made a whole supplemental video for U Chicago and Brown. I also posted it on my YouTube account dedicated to volleyball, just because I love it so much and it's just a big part of who I am. And then volunteering, I coached at my local recreational center since my freshman year, and then I was a summer counselor at my local women's shelter during my sophomore year summer, and then I was a part of this Korean traditional band, which also counted as volunteer hours, and we would perform at events in Los Angeles dedicated to teaching others about Korean culture, like specifically Korean traditional folklore music. And then my favorite, my internship and work experience. So I had a 2-year paid summer internship at a marketing company through a program in Los Angeles that helps minority students. It was the best experience, and I highly, highly, highly recommend any internship experience for any high schooler, because I think it teaches you so much, and there's so many connections that you can make, and it really helps you gain real world experience and show that you are truly dedicated to a field that you're interested in. And I think it's really impressive to colleges to see that you took the initiative and you already had internships. And then throughout the year, I also worked at Trader Joe's. I've been working there since the winter of my junior year. So I think this November is going to be my 2-year anniversary. I worked every weekend, almost every weekend, and it was amazing. I just love everything about Trader Joe's, but I can make a separate video about my experience at Trader Joe's as a high schooler, but I just love it. It's amazing. And then my awards. So we were only allowed to list a couple of awards. So these are the ones that I think I listed. So in 2022, which was my sophomore year. Our volleyball team were the Division III runner-ups. So this was a huge accomplishment for me and my school because this was like the first time in over 10 years which my school appeared in a championship game, and the last one was like I think 2009, and it was like D5. So this was like a crazy big accomplishment for us. Then I also had the Presidential Service Award, which is over 100 hours of community service. And then in my junior year, we won the Division II Volleyball Championships, which was even crazier because now we went from our first appearance the year before to actually winning our first division championships. So it was a crazy feeling, and I was the captain for all three, I'll tell you later, all 3 of the years that we went to the championships. So it was just unreal. And then I also got the Presidential Volunteer Service Award that my junior year as well, which was 236 hours of community service or more. And then my senior year, I got there's like a tournament, a volleyball tournament that my school attends every single year, and I got the all tournament MVP. And then my senior year, we also made it to the CIF Division I championships. As you can tell, I'm very I get so happy when I talk about this because it's still it blows my mind that this happened, because we finally put our name out there from being a not sports school to more an academic school to now going to the championships 3 years in a row. It's just I love it, and it's such an amazing experience. So as you can tell, volleyball has made a very big impact in my life, and I love it so much. And then for my letter of recs, I tried to get one from each core subject, so humanities and STEM. So for my STEM, I asked my AP Bio teacher that I had during my junior year, and then for my humanities, I had my leadership teacher who had me for all 4 years, and he was also my AP government teacher my senior year, so it was perfect. So I asked him to write my letter of rec, and then for my additional letter of recs, I asked my 10th grade English teacher / volleyball coach for 2 years. He and I were really close, and he knew me from volleyball, which was another bonus. And then I also asked my internship mentor. For letters of rec, I really recommend asking someone who knows you in more than one aspect of your life. So for example, my English teacher / volleyball coach, he knew me for several years, and he knew who I was as a student, but also as a volleyball player and captain. So he was really able to talk about different aspects of my life and who I was as a person. So I really recommend asking teachers or people in your life that know who you are as a whole, rather than just different parts. And then the last section for this video is going to be my essays. So these are a little personal. Obviously, your essays should be personal to you. That's how you make yourself stand out. But my personal statement, which is for my Common App, was about my relationship with my dad and how cooking is something that he introduced me to. It was also something that I used to cope with him leaving my family. So it kind of talks about how cooking was an escape, but at the same time it was a constant reminder of where I come from and my background. And I realized how to separate a hobby from a person. It's a little hard to explain, but yeah. And then for my PIQs, which were for my UCs, there are multiple prompts that you can answer, but the ones that I chose were the leadership essay, the significant challenge essay, the creative side, and how I improved my school and community essays. So for the leadership one, I talked about my high school volleyball experience and how the appearance of 2 championship games taught me about my own definition of leadership. And then for the significant challenge, I talked about my dad and my relationship with him. And then my creative side, I talked about spontaneous side that comes with cooking, which was a little unique. And how I improved my school and community, I talked about creating the Asian and Pacific Student Union. So for the essays, I really recommend bullet pointing your biggest achievements, so like things that you're really proud of and that you can write a lot about, and things that have really changed your life or your perspective or your dreams, and kind of brainstorm in the beginning. And then what helped me stay disciplined and helped me write 28 like supplemental essays with my personal statement and my PIQs is I wrote one school supplemental every single week from the beginning of August, so like when school started, all the way to I think I finished mid-October. It's more difficult staying disciplined and writing your essays so they're not rushed rather than actually writing the essays. And one thing that I wish I did more when I was writing my essays was definitely revising a lot more, because I think especially after I was done with my essays, like all of them, I could have revisited them like a couple weeks later and tweaked them. But another thing I will say is your writing improves so much throughout this whole process. Like my essays from like when I first started writing all the way to like the end changed so much, and honestly that's one of the biggest pros that come out of this process is like how much your writing improves and how you're able to find yourself and your own voice through writing. So some advice I have for writing essays is you definitely do not need to start like in your summer of your like senior year to write these essays, because honestly like you'll revise them so many times that like there's no need to waste your summer stressing over it. And what I'd say like is definitely brainstorm over the summer if you want to get ahead. But what I did and what helped me stay on track with applying to 28 schools was I started my personal statement. The first thing I did was my personal statement, and I did that as soon as school started. And then I worked on that until the end of August, and then in September I started writing my PIQs until like mid-September. And then from mid-September to like all the way till the end of October, I focused on my supplemental essays. So what really helped me is I focused for my supplemental essays, because I had like 25 to write. I tried to finish one school per week, and then towards the end it was like 2 or 3. So definitely set a deadline for yourself, like this is when I want to be done with everything. And then what I wish I did more was after I was done with all my essays, all my supplementals, I wish I went back like a couple weeks later and then revised it and make sure I was really confident with everything I was gonna submit, because I think when you're writing so many essays, you can easily get burnt out and you can be like, okay, this is like what I want to submit, like I'm so done with this, I just want it to be over, but then you're not fully confident in it. So I definitely, like when your mind is clear and you're not really focusing on it, definitely go back and reread them. So for my overall tips that I have for high schoolers is to just take advantage of the resources that you already have. I think you don't need to have a major like passion project or do something that's completely out of your reach unless you really want to go to like an Ivy League school. If your dream school is to go to like UCs or schools that are in like the top 20 or like very highly rigorous schools, but not like the top schools, then honestly like just make do with what you have. So like all of the things that I did were very easily accessible and things that anyone can do, especially my leadership positions, I think. And then just like finding a club that you're truly passionate about and what can really make a meaningful change in your community. And so just be proactive and be passionate about the things that you believe in, and truly put your time into those things that you're passionate about. Have fun. Don't be in your room studying all day, because at the end of the day, it's not that deep. 1 or 2 B's in AP chemistry is not gonna get you rejected from a top school. Literally, like, I thought I was crying because I got B's. Like, that was my first ever B, and honestly, like, at the end of the day, it was not that deep. And I think I've learned so much from getting those B's. Honestly, things might be a blessing in disguise. You never know. And then for incoming seniors, apply for scholarships, especially in your second semester of your senior year once you're done with all your college apps. I know you want to rest, and trust me, that was me too. But applying to scholarships is so important, especially like if you want financial aid. Trust me, like, sometimes you will not get as much as you want, or something will happen and it just doesn't work out. So free money is always great. And there's a lot of scholarships that people don't take advantage of, especially high schoolers, because they're so burnt out of college applications. So it's like, honestly, for me, it was pretty easy to get some of the scholarship. Definitely look into local scholarships, because those are way easier to get than like national scholarships. So like, I did both. I applied to national scholarships and also local scholarships, and I found literally no success with the national scholarships, but I got almost all of the local scholarships that I applied to. And even though I got a lot of scholarships, which I'm very, very grateful for, I wish I applied to a lot more, or I searched more up, because I realized how easy it is to get, especially if they are local, because no one in your area is really going to be doing the same thing. And if you guys are in the LA area and you guys need some scholarships, especially if you're Asian American, and you need some scholarships, then please reach out to me. My Instagram is in my bio. I have a couple scholarships that I got that I would love to share to anyone else who's an incoming senior who needs some scholarships to apply to. And if you have any questions, my DMs are always open, and I wish everyone good luck. And honestly, college applications are such a small part of high school, so really enjoy high school, have so much fun, and do everything for the experience, not for the title. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be answering all of the comments that I can. So